Okay, it already started. Now, peace be upon you. I'm gonna give you oracles. Breathe to receive your messages. Okay, so the message that I have for you ties in with, well, it's synchronistic usually. God recommend the video that spoke about the importance of breath. Breathe in, abundance, breathe out, lack, poverty. And what it fails to mention is that the more of you there is, it depends, intention makes the difference. What do you need it for? This prosperity that you're opening up to and you're taking in, and what are you going to do with it? The more of you there is, the less you can contain or receive. So you gotta always redirect or focus it towards the goal or the purpose or the application of what it is that you are receiving, without trying to control what that is. And it's the process itself starts with, to begin with, no longer feeling that you need abundance, but believing that you already have it. I live beyond images. I'm open towards eternity. There's oil, myrrh. Do not maintain any image of yourself. Be open towards infinity. So you become potential, neutral, not consumed by need or desire. The more you try and fight against an enemy that you acknowledge as such, the less it will work, unless your intention is again aimed at something beyond the self. It's why certain warriors were successful and others failed miserably. Hero versus anti-hero. The egoist versus those fighting for the highest good, for something other than themselves. It's why the Vikings were so successful. To them it was community, Valhalla, a spiritual battle, principles, values, a vision, at whatever cost, whichever price. That's why they got away with it and achieved so much despite all odds. They allowed themselves to be possessed by forces of darkness and destruction. But their heart was in the right place. Their intention made the difference. In love and war, as they say. So, even though they fought to either conquer or obtain something, right? For abundance, for prosperity, it wasn't for themselves. There was no egoism. Yet there was a self that was anchored in something that went beyond just mere labels and definitions, and all of them tied back in with archetypal energies. They were anchored in the light, Valhalla if you want. An acknowledgement of higher power, a level of faith and willingness to self-sacrifice. And they did what they needed to do in order to achieve it. That's why they took substances as well. The berserker, that's where it comes from. So, if you are aiming or aspiring towards something, there's nothing wrong about it. But why? Where is it anchored? Does it have a purpose that goes beyond just immediate fulfillment or personal satisfaction? Or because that reveals your weakness, not your strength. That reveals you being in reality extremely weak and vulnerable to forces that you should be able to defy and overcome or alchemize. Fear of lack, if you do not approach it properly. Yes, it starts with individuation and acknowledgement. Hey, we're in a terrible, I need this, I'm in a terrible situation. But what are you going to do about it? So you acknowledge the lack. You need prosperity, however that translates. For you, though, which you? Are you in service? Are you a believer? You a faithful? You that has principles and values that are anchored in and supposed to benefit anyone other than the self? Do you love something dearly? Do you have faith or belief in humanity? Do you have a vision for a different humanity, different world? And how does that translate into practical? What are you willing to do to sacrifice for it? It starts with the self. You put the self in service of something higher. Then you do whatever you're called to do, whether it's to heal, to destroy, to love, nurture, protect, or conquer. You gotta own. Everything has a price. You gotta own it. So you're not willing to do anything. Not about what you already have. Not about the actual lack that you're experiencing, and take it upon yourself to make difficult choices, even if that means you being in a position where you may make mistakes. You may be called to do things that are unpleasant, terrible. It challenges the good self in you that would rather sit comfortably and pray that if it happens energetically, it doesn't need to translate in the practical, in the 3D. Oh yes, it does. That's the whole point. It's all energy before it's action. So where does it stem from? This Father give me, Father please, Creator give me, or just universe, abundance, out with lack, with fear. It's not how it works. The self is not integrated. And genuine integration means having no self at all. Which means being able to take whatever self arises in order to allow you to lead that need or desire to fulfillment. It implies you embracing whichever nature and again, you cannot do that if you're stuck in a specific self. Whether it's a positive one or a broken one. It makes no difference. The universe doesn't respond to those who lack in agency or haven't made a decision to allow it to work through them, to guide them to. So there will always be a requirement of faith and higher purpose. If you gotta be a thief, you're gonna have to own that. You gotta go through that. You gotta be willing to pay the price for that. Whether that implies sacrifice, effort, and you gotta conquer them. It's the hero's journey. And the subject came up today with the sister. That's why it's just, again, synchronicity, I guess. So no image of yourself and be open towards infinity. But that implies the ego having no control over what you're going to receive or what you have received up until now. Just objectively seeing it for what it is, receiving it, or putting it to use. Being fueled or moved by it. In full awareness, fearless, faithful, and accountable. That's what power looks like, agency and co-creation. Any attempt to mold yourself or force yourself into either becoming, or getting stuck into something specific will result in more suffering because there's resistance. It's your will against natural laws, divine will. It's like mother trying to feed a child that keeps his mouth shut. Can you forcefully feed a newborn? She tries, she finds loving ways to remind you of her love and prosperity and abundance and that she loves you. But if you're resistant, You don't want it. She won't give it to you. You only want it conditionally. You want things conditionally. And that's ego. And that's why you're not based on levels or definitions, or you want specific amounts of money, you want specific. No. No one responds to orders coming from someone who cannot even control their urges, their instincts, you have no self-control. You didn't master yourself. So you have no agency because you constantly betray yourself. You renounce it. You fall easy prey to other forces, other people's desires, etc. So again, you gotta anchor yourself in something higher that cannot be neither shattered, labeled, defined, or doesn't even come close to compare with anyone or anything anyone may say or attempt to push on you or condition you to believing. Or even you yourself may want to experience. No, there is a you that transcends and is anchored in somewhere beyond all of that. The hero becomes whatever he needs to become. Yet he remains a hero, even there where he was called to do horrendous actions. Why do you think that is? He sacrificed righteousness for the greater good. He sacrificed his own comfort with himself, whatever self arose. He learned to use shadow and dark forces as a force of good. And they hate that. That's what mastery looks like. You take greed and turn it into a force of good. Is that possible? Yes, that's the whole concept of good and evil and sin into virtue. I'll give you an example. Someone who struggled with abuse, should they overcome it, is the only person who has any merit or capacity to assist someone who's gone through it or going through it. Don't they? But can they overcome the self? Can they do it for the sake of another? Or is there something in that still for them? Do they expect it? Do they seek for it? Is that where their choice to assist or help or stems from? So we have many people out there, quite capable and skilled, and they're all doing it for all the wrong reasons. That's why the system is collapsing, because of egoism. So even though it may appear successful, in reality it has failed miserably because of intention. People not staying true to their genuine intentions, not even having them revealed, but rather labeling them as something positive. How many people became doctors because of the pay and the social standing? They were weak in front of conditioning, and now we have terrible doctors that actually do more harm. They're more dangerous than any other person, working, tilling the soil. Yet they're presented as someone who we should look up to, aspire to, honor and respect. We cannot honor deception, hypocrisy, and betrayal. So you think about this throughout this very important upcoming event. What is covering the actual self that's anchored in something that goes beyond labels, stages, definitions, and because there's no way of avoiding you becoming whom you're ultimately meant to become, but there's not going to be one single action or choice that should be able to determine that. Everything and nothing you should be. You just are. So authenticity, what is covering you, what is conditioning you? Or is it possible that you yourself have chosen to deny, rebuke, or refute certain aspects of yourself because of your judgment towards them? Fortune and fame. You're asked to shine brighter, whether you like it or not, whatever that may mean. Sometimes fame actually means infamy. You're most likely going to be called to embrace your nature, and call out, if need be, those who have some position of authority, power, quote unquote. We need to start holding them accountable. In other words, we got to start doing something about it as a team, as we're scattered throughout the world. Call them out, at least those that are the most successful. And each of us are going to navigate towards this or that. At every opportunity you have, if you sense deception, corruption, and say it. Yep. You don't get away with always being there in a spot, irrelevant, completely harmless, and it's not how it works. That's ego as well. You don't get away with always calling yourself kind and gentle, and that's ego as well. You do whatever you're called to do, but again, we usually tend to experience that when we are triggered in the sense of we become naturally antagonistic to something, right? It's a natural dynamics there. Well, it's better than navigating towards it, right? Which we're battling here with, the consequences of the other implications of the empath, sociopath, psychopath dynamics, narcs, if you want, the antisocial. And now we have a society of antisocial, broken, much like the medusa, shattered to a point, whereas they themselves are dangerous. Who's going to stop them? And of course, they're going after those with the most potential. Light enter where the wounds does, but so does evil. It breaks your spirit. Pain, trauma. But if it broke you, then broken you are. You get what comes with it, because everything needs to stand corrected sooner or later. It's the very definition of justice. So, if you put yourself in the service of the highest good, nothing is denied to you. Not because you want it. It's simply because how the laws work. I'll give you an example. If I put an empty bucket in front of my door, do you want to bet that you'll find something in it? Depending on why I put it out there, it's what I'm going to find. You can try this experiment. You want to try it? It's the same with your heart, your mind, you as a vessel. Everything's a means to an end. If you lose momentum and you still get anchored in past or future and attempting to control this process rather than just going with it, then you're a problem. Nature will treat you as such, constantly trying to adjust you, to correct you, to return you. That's why you're experiencing it. There's resistance. Imagine if a lily started saying, "Oh no, I want to be an apple tree." Well, if you really want it, soon enough, and for all the right reasons, you may actually get exactly what you want. But what will be the price for it? And that's how you know that's actually going against the natural order. High prices, but was it worth it? Because there's an easier way. You just follow along with the process. And you say, whatever I am, it doesn't matter. I am that I am. A lily, an apple, and I'm everything. He's all there is. And nothing at the same time. You will be. Everything will be everything, in the words of Lauryn Hill. So now you need to become a mirror. Regardless of how others may respond to that. Universal medicine, 2 cards for you. Beloved spiritual family, I know it would be nice if you could all just sit around and drink tea and kumbaya and smoke weed every day. No, we don't need it. We're naturally already high. Let's read these 2 cards. Anyway, you already know all of these things, you know. Egoism led us to this point. And shadow has both, has it covered at both ends. We try to take the good way out, right? Or we try to push against it, shape our own path. Oh, shut up. You just go with it. It's already written. You're playing a video game. The game is already set. You understand? The level unfolds as you make your choices and walk upon it. Play the game. It's there only in potential. But that very concept tells you that you cannot manifest something that you're not ready for. You're not going to go to the 5th level until you actually beat the level, the 4th. Does that make sense? I know the enemy constantly presents this trickery, this you can have it. There are shortcuts. No, there aren't. There shouldn't be any. How is that fair? Isn't that what humanity is currently struggling with? This constant sensation of it's not fair. Arguing with God, with one another, with ourselves. Therefore trashing this world altogether. At the expense of those we are supposed to love, and we came here to assist, to heal, to guide. Those are the best, most vulnerable versions of us, of the divine. Embodied in the vulnerable, in the broken, in the innocent. We don't care. We cannot care. We're too broken to do so. So that's where real lack begins. With a choice. Do you understand that this is spiritual warfare? And in order to find harmony, these two, force and counterforce, they need to now clash. Not all of us will get away with, just sipping tea while doing it. We're all called to fulfill our task. You've been shaped for precisely this task here. And apparently many of you will actually be at the forefront. And there is abundance. But that shouldn't be your incentive. Because again, it means you fall in line. You're back in alignment. You're back in the flow. No controlling, no resistance. No rationalizing, no fear, and no actual greed or personal agendas or no. Again, it's very personal in a spiritual sense, while at the same time it's not. A wolf doesn't apologize for having eaten a sheep. Nor does the sheep apologize for its own innocence. Except we're humans. We are supposed. Why do you think we have animal spirits, right? Why? They embody archetypal energy, versions, aspects of the divine. So what makes you think that animals don't have human spirits? Or the plant, or... So we're told about how the garden was created, and in reality, everything that exists here stems from the initial being, which is Adam. He embodied all of the attributes of the Creator. That's why he asked Adam to name the creatures and everything down here. Those are purer, closer to original intended aspects. But they have to embody the fallen state of humanity. So that's why we also have predators. You don't have that in Gan Eden. There are no predators. Their nature is different. So much like us. All the other aspects of us, as they're externalized, manifested in nature, is corrupt to some extent. Here and there you see glimpses of that purity of said creation. If you can, divine spark, if you can connect with those creatures, if it's a tree, if it's a leaf, it's a plant, a puppy, you can actually find it rather more in nature, in the animal and unanimate kingdoms. Then you understand the dynamics that us as humans are currently confronted with. Prey-predator. That's the inner struggle we all had. Some of us have managed to go past it, defeat it, rise above it, walking the razor's edge, while also being able to choose whichever extreme is necessary to counterbalance a force we have to reckon with. But you have to remember that there are predators out there. Evil. It's not personal. You can maintain purity of heart, intention, and spirit while needing to do the dirty work. It's sacrifice, I know. Yeshua came to do the same. He came as a beggar. They didn't beg. If that makes any sense. Don't beg, just be. You're always confronted with all the things you could have, you should have been, you need to be with. Stop it. Get some Poyel. Shem Hamforash. Order of principalities. God sustaining everything. I'm gonna cry. No, please, no. That's so beautiful. The psalm is 145, verse 15. The Lord upholdeth all that fall, and raiseth all that those be bowed down. Do you understand how it works? When you feel you need more, there needs to be less of you. Less of you. Obviously, there's going to be more of something else. In this case, specifically of God. However that translates. And within the hearts of each of us, God responds by fulfilling needs. So if prosperity is something that you genuinely need, He will give you a form of it that can actually fulfill you, which cannot ever be the case with any definition you may have of prosperity, because the ego will corrupt it, will define it, will label it, will limit and restrict it. When you pray for prosperity to you, you will translate in a specific manner, and that's the energy you put out there. So you cannot receive what genuine fulfillment looks like. You may ask for a house. Maybe Father wants to give you domain over an institution. But you're stuck in begging for simple house. That's false humility and nah, stop doing it. Stop asking. Just receive. We receive in order to give. That's how we align back to God. We are in the force of reception. It's our very nature. We are in ego, absolutely. In evil inclination. Why do we call it evil? Because it's opposite to God. So why? It needs to be. How can we receive? He's the giver, we receive. But in order to give ourselves, so we become a vessel for Him. You understand? Why do you think He would have created you if it wasn't for Him to actually be able to work through you? So He will give you everything you need. If you don't trust that, then you're doomed to be stuck in this punishment, reward, and even in your relationship with Him. He doesn't deny you anything. You are. Every time you embrace, even with affirmations, when you're too quick to place labels on yourself, and you're actually pushing away all the things that you could become. So, I'm sorry, I have to go. So, Psalm is 145, verse 15. The Lord upholdeth all that fall, and raiseth up all those that be bowed down. So the more you restrict or limit your own needs or personal interests, or the less ego there is, the more He will raise you. Does that make sense? So you gotta substitute the ego with something different. A cause, something that resonates within your very soul, that you connect with intensely. And those born under Poel's influence are held in esteem for their modesty, moderation, and agreeable humor, and find success through their talents and conduct. Poel obtains whatever you request and rules over fame, fortune, and philosophy. Sole guardian of those born between 6:20 and 6:40 p.m. It's a reminder of you not applying things that you've already been granted, not using them as they were intended to. Conditioned by probably agendas, dramas, other people's expectations, desires, and so on, from the low realms, and an alchemized desire, rather. They are not directed towards something other than just mere self-fulfillment. Whenever you feel that you cannot be fulfilled, and you start asking for what you think could be satisfactory, you're literally telling the universe, this is what I want, and they're telling you, no, it's not what you need. We cannot give it to you. But if you really insist, and then you experience pain again, even when you get what you want. So needs and desires, learn to discern. Moral guardian of those born on May 14, July 25th, October the 5th, December 16, or February the 26th. Physical guardian of those born in between December 20 and December 24th. Hahasaya, universal medicine. By the way, both of them are from the upper realms, so they're angels. They're still principalities of air, make no mistake, but they're in their positive aspects, basically. So 56, 11, 2, and 6. Harmonizing, balancing out, middle ground, resolutions, alignment. Spiritual family, soulmates. And I leave you here as it is. This is going to be for very few out there, obviously. So don't try and make it your own, or be triggered, or just move along. Don't waste your time on, things that you don't connect with. If you are triggered, obviously it's to do with something with you. And if you do think that you have something to actually correct me, or me personally, you feel triggered because you feel that something is off, or you got to take it upon you then. Open your mouth and speak. Come at me. Let's do this. It goes both ways. But if not, don't waste your time with people that otherwise are of no relevance to your journey or your purpose. Keep on going. Navigate. Let yourself be guided. Don't waste time. This channel wasn't meant for those who have time to waste, or things to avoid or escape. Or it's not an echo chamber. It's not an ego stroker. It's never gonna be. I'm sorry. And if you're gonna still sit there and be consumed by some negative feeling towards something or someone, then do something about it. Or be on your way. Take it upon you. Don't let it consume you. Alchemize into force for good or positive. Or maybe I need to stand corrected. Maybe you see something I don't in me, and it's your opinion. You have the right to it. Same way I'm expressing mine. But own it, Don't find tactics. Honesty is the highest form of respect. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't matter. It's about who you choose to be. How you elevate yourself to a level where you can actually respect yourself before expecting anyone else to do so. How are you gonna be able to defend yourself in front of someone who calls you names, accuses you of terrible things, if you have no integrity or honesty within yourself? You don't know who you are in any form that you have explored up until now, but most importantly, at your core, beyond or despite whatever stages you had to go through or trials in your life. There should still be there you in a nutshell, in essence, that transcends this realm or any other stage that you could go through. Hasaya, God, the impenetrable secret. Everybody's telling you these secrets and these shortcuts. I wonder why they need to sell it if it works so well. Psalm 104, verse 31. The glory of the Lord shall endure forever. The Lord shall rejoice in his works. And you are one of it, by the way. People born, which is most beautiful work. Everything you see is the same divine spark, scattered and divided in all its many aspects, and which is God. That's why we say he's all there is. So the first creation was Adam. It just stopped. I have to move here. People born under this influence love abstract sciences, are attracted to the knowledge of animals, vegetables, and minerals. Thank you for confirming it. That's beautiful. As I was saying, connect back with nature. And make many useful discoveries. Alchemy of the spirit, it ties in with actual practical applied. Alchemy, hahasaya, useful, note the word, useful discovery. There are secrets there and things that are still veiled or covered or that you're called to reveal, to explore, to elevates the soul, reveals the mysteries of wisdom, governs chemistry and physics. He can reveal the secret of the philosopher's stone. Soul guardian of those born between 4:40 and 5 p.m. Moral guardian of those born on May 9th, July the 20th, September 30th, December 11th, and February 21st. Physical guardian of those born between November 25th and November 29th. He rules over Balaam, which is a king. So that's why I said also the inanimate realm as well. Animate and unanimate. You should focus on that for a moment. And you'll see how slowly, as you interact or witness other people's actions, and you will feel called to embrace your truth. Stand in it, whatever that may mean. Maybe you need to call someone out. In other cases, you get to love someone, heal, restore, give someone a hug, forgive. You get to experience and explore all of these things. But it has to be by conscious choice. And you can only do said constant choices, which is the very things that many people have been led to dread. And it's the ultimate blessing and gift from Father, free choice. They're misusing or abusing it, or you can only do it in presence. And presence can only be maintained as you struggle and battle the various challenging forces we are up against, our own evil inclination, which we cannot ignore. We cannot ignore things. We can only see them for what they are and choose why we are put here to interact with the people, the situation, a means to an end. See the purpose in everything. You don't have to understand it. You don't have to foresee it, because then you would try and control it. You just have to be and make a choice to either go with something, embrace something, constant leaps of faith, basically, or go against it. What is that something? It's that voice that speaks in your own conscience, your heart. Do you listen to it, or do you challenge it? You have the freedom to do either. Both choices imply a sacrifice. On one end, if you make the right choice, sacrifice. If you make the wrong one, even though there's no such thing per se, because everything stands corrected, comes back full circle, and stands restored, that's the ultimate grace Father granted us, then there's a price to pay at the end. A terrible one, which humanity is doing right now. And even that shouldn't deter us. We're learning. Don't make deals. You don't have to. You're a divine child. You don't have to if you don't need anything, or you're not fearful of anything. If you walk with the Most High, if you genuinely walk in faith, you don't have to cut deals. You don't have to find shortcuts. All is granted, already ingrained within you. We're not completing the world. It's already been completed. But this is the corrupted version of it, because of that very choice we made once. Now we got to make another one. So the sacrifice is the self. The self that insists on being anything other than what it's been created, or it currently is. Because of ego. Tale of two brothers, or Adam himself being that inner conflict that arose within him. Him needing to be divided in polarity, which led to this. As above, so below, yes, but it's mirrored, so it's flipped. Everything here is flipped. Everything is corrupted. We are always so triggered at the revelation of the potential for beauty, for purity, for excellency, and seeing the constant corrupt versions of them within us or others, or especially Libras. Yet, they're struggling to do something about it. What forces made their work to make sure the Libras don't do anything about the lack of harmony, beauty, moral, spiritual, justice, or truth in the world? Equity, equanimity, harmony, fairness. There's a reason why she's blind. She's not supposed to know. She's a direct channel to the divine. She doesn't need things. She doesn't beg things. She just is. She's a mediator. She's a means to an end. Archetypal wise. That's why she doesn't really have a persona or a personality. She doesn't have that luxury. Nothing is personal. She sits on the world, left foot on the snake, death around her neck, and a sword in her right hand. What do you think that means? She's of course blindfolded. She weighs the hearts as it's currently happening for all of us. And she looks towards the sky. Do what you gotta do. Shalom.